walk like lions. Hey, good morning, folks. Chappie coming to you live from Prescott, Arizona. It's Tuesday. Good to see you today, folks. Good day today, and let's get right into it. We are going to January 17th, 1781, down south in Cowpens, and we're going to talk about the Battle of Cowpens. All right, folks, turning point of the Revolutionary War in the South. This was a critical battle. We mentioned it a little bit yesterday. I know that it's portrayed in a sense in the movie Patriot, but let's talk about the actual battle. I had an opportunity to actually go down and walk the battlefield with a group, and we did a battlefield tour and walk and everything, and they laid out what happened there. So this is, it's pretty legit. I mean, we were actually there and walked it. So now some historians, there might be a few details here and there that are a little bit different, but just track with me, you guys understand. All right, folks, Battle of Cowpens. So basically, as the battle was laid out, if you're standing there, it's a hill. It goes up a hill. The American forces were at the top of the hill, and the British were coming up, and which is kind of, it's not your best tactical strategy there to approach things there, to attack up a hill there. But in this case, the American forces, they met at Cowpens. They arrayed themselves at the top of the hill, and here's what they had done. The commander of the Patriot forces basically placed the American regulars kind of just up over the top of the hill. They couldn't be seen from the bottom, all right? And then the militia was placed kind of midway up the hill. So as the battle kicks off, and the British are all in their pretty little rows, prim and proper rows, they started, advancing towards the American militia. Now, the militia were instructed, try to get off at least 1 to 3 shots, and then displace back up the hill. And basically they're drawing the British up, and as you could see, drawing them up into a trap there. And the British, confident, it was a crack unit, folks. They were there to crush the rebellion. That was their job, to come in and totally just throw the Patriots and the resistance down south out of whack. So they begin marching up the hill. They get into their little rows for firing, and they get first volley off. And the first volley goes, the militia, it did kind of overwhelm them. The militia managed, yes, to get 2 volleys off before they were like, oh Lord, we are outmatched. I mean, bad here, very bad. We should be fighting from behind concealment and cover, but it wasn't possible. It wasn't part of the plan here. So the militia began displacing rather quickly, and the British started advancing a little quicker. They're moving up the hill closer and closer to the top, and finally the militia, they almost broke into a dead run, began running back, now obviously through the American lines. So as the British, they were like overconfident. They're like, hey, let's get these guys. They started to break their lines, all right, and started to go into a actual charge mode. And so they started charging up the hill, and right as they crest the hill, They're not in formation anymore. They're just a bunch of British guys just standing there, all right? As they crest the hill, they run right into the American regulars, lined up, ready for shots to be fired. Volleys are fired. British go down in mass numbers, all right? Now, it's at this point as well as this attack from the American regulars happen, is the American cavalry. Yes, they had American cavalry on the ground, which the British did not know about, swept in from the right flank and began to crush the rear areas of the British troops. After the first few volleys from the American forces, the militia and the American forces go into a full attack mode, full charge into the British forces. And the result is in a complete encirclement of the British forces. They were crushed there easily. So folks, we're looking at, in this whole engagement, the good guys, the Patriots, we lost 12 guys in the whole fight, all right? The British had 110 killed and over 500 captured. They couldn't handle it, folks. They couldn't handle the American regulars. They couldn't handle the US of A. Awesome stuff, folks. And they lost. And it was a turning point. Because of that loss, it was like, wow, the British what are we up against? These guys are good. There's no way we can stop this. And it kind of just steamrolled from there. We saw more and more victories on the conventional side of the war there. And, well, you know the rest of the story, folks. America is born, USA, and look at us now, folks. Top nation in the world, top place to be. Phenomenal. Now, spiritual application here, folks. What do we see spiritually? So in the battle there, there was a combined effort there, folks. You had militia, you had regulars, and you had cavalry. And yes, the commander orchestrated it all together beautifully, but it took each of those elements to make the victory happen. I mean, the militia had to play the role of hey, real quick, few shots, so let's get out of here. All right. The regulars had to stand firm and strong and ready there. And of course, the surprise, the cavalry coming from the side and crushing the enemy. And that's typical cavalry, folks. If you read books, I mean, that's what cavalry does. It crushes the enemy. I mean, you may draw it out with infantry and get a little thing going there, but it's always cavalry that saves the day. That's the term. We're waiting for the cavalry. Anyway, besides that point, I'm a little off track here. It's a combined effort, folks. A lot of our military now, if you look at our military, it's a combined effort of all the different assets on the battlefield: infantry, cavalry, artillery, air power coming in. All that stuff goes in together to make a beautiful symphony of American combat power. So that's what's beautiful, and you have to understand that. Now, how the spiritual application is. Let me tell you about a little battle that was going on with the Israelites. Moses is still around. They're actually, I think they're headed towards Mount Sinai. Yeah, so they're headed towards Mount Sinai to get the Ten Commandments and stuff and all that. And they come across a group called the Amalekites. Now, the Amalekites was a big threat because it threatened to basically, put Israel out of business there. They had escaped Egypt, but now they had another threat: the local people in the area. So they come in contact with these people, and let me read the account here because this is pretty cool. All right, it's Exodus 17:8, and we're going to go down through 14 here. So you're going to love this, guys. It says Israel defeats Amalek. Then Amalek came and fought with Israel at Rephidim. So Moses said to Joshua, "Choose for us men and go fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the staff of God in my hand." So Joshua did as Moses told him and fought with Amalek, while Moses, Aaron, and Hur went up to the top of the hill. Whenever Moses held up his hand, Israel prevailed, and whenever Moses lowered his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands grew weary, so they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it, while Aaron and Hur held up his hands, one on one side and one on the other side. So his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua overwhelmed Amalek and his people with the sword. And then the Lord said to Moses, "Write this as a memorial in a book and recite it in the ears of Joshua, that I will utterly blot out the memory of Amalek from under heaven." And folks, basically what we got going on here, the battle's going on. Moses has the staff, all right. He's up on the hill, and he puts his arms out, kind of like with the Red Sea thing. And as long as his arms are out and up, Israel is winning, okay? But folks, I don't know if you've ever tried, even without holding something, try lifting your arms up and holding it there. Probably 10 minutes, it's a challenge. I mean, anything past 10 minutes, it's hurting. Your arms grow tired and they drop down. Imagine having to do this the whole day during the battle. So you could see Moses started, he probably got tired, his hands went down, a little rest, but the battle changed. Put his arms back up, the battle changed again, it changed again. It was just a constant. Well, Aaron and Hur are up there with him, and they're like, oh, this is not good. We need to help our brother. So they get him to actually sit down on a stone, and then they prop his hands up, his arms up, so that the staff is still up, and Israel's still winning the battle. And it said Israel annihilated Amalek. So very, very, again, an awesome story, an awesome battle story. But what is it speaking to us today? Folks, many, many times in life, basically I should say, we're not in this by ourselves, is what I'm saying. We're in this, we have other Christians around us, we have other people around us that help us in our time of need, and when we just don't have the strength to continue on with what the Lord's telling us to do. And we also have to be sensitive to the fact that you might be called to assist somebody who is doing ministry and help them when the Lord's working in an area. So basically, it's a combined effort here. We're all in this together. We're all in this fight together. We're all helping each other and supporting each other, upholding each other. We're all lifting each other's arms up and holding them up for each other. That's what's critical. You have to understand that, again, we're not in this alone. We need to rely on fellow Christians around us and also be able to be relied on as helping other Christians around us. So folks, it's an important concept to understand. Nobody can do this by themselves. The only person that could do it by themselves was Jesus. And he's the boss. I mean, he's God, okay, of course. We're nowhere near that. We're just simple men, women, trying to serve God best we can. So I want to encourage you today, if you're having a hard time, if you're low on strength, if you're weary, or if you're just starting to do a new endeavor that you really want to get out there and minister in your life, look for other Christians around you. Say, hey guys, I'm going to do this. Could you help me out? Or even apply this kind of like to a work setting. Fellow Christians around you are going to lift you up every single day and encourage you. And you, vice versa, should encourage them and bring uplifting words to fellow Christians. All right, folks. I hope it's a simple message. I hope it hits home. I hope it sinks in. Folks, help each other out. It's a combined effort in this world and in this life. And don't forget, walk like lions.